Healthy eating can definitely be a challenge, but if you're trying to make it a little more doable, I am your girl. I am a busy mom, I have 4 kids, and feeding my family well and making nourishing food is a huge priority for me. And for me to actually be able to get it done, I am all for doing a little bit of prep and planning, especially in advance, so that I can actually make it happen. As they say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So come along with me as I plan and also prep for a week of healthy eating ahead. Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, we're gonna be spending lots of time in the kitchen to prep some food and do some planning so that I can make healthy eating for the week ahead a little bit easier. You guys know that healthy eating is definitely a priority for me as a dietitian, but at the same time, I'm also a busy mom with a lot on her plate. And over the years, I have learned the lesson over and over again that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So I really rely on planning. And now, even as my life has gotten even busier with more kids, doing some prep ahead of time so that I can actually make this doable for me and my family. So I've been trying to kind of invite you guys into this process more often and share with you like what I'm actually planning for dinner and like what I'm actually making and like prepping in advance. Because it's one thing to talk about how this is like a good skill to have or how it's helpful, but it's a totally other thing to actually like show you and bring you into my kitchen and be like, this is actually what I'm making. So I hope that you guys are finding these videos helpful. And the very first thing I do at the start of every week, or if I'm really on my game, I'll do it on a Sunday, but I also like to relax on Sundays, so that doesn't always happen. But the first thing that I do is I plan out our dinners for the week. I try and keep them on the simple side because I know that I am tired at the end of the day, but I do enjoy cooking at the same time. Sometimes I'm really tired and I just don't want to do it, but once I like get into it and I actually start cooking, I do enjoy it. And I also like good food, so I want to eat good food at the end of the day. So for me, that means cooking most nights of the week. So every week I plan out 6, maybe 7 dinners that we're going to plan on eating through that week. And I like to write them all down in like a little notebook that I have. That way I can always go back and look at previous weeks because sometimes I literally forget about like a certain meal that we really like. So having some kind of, a notebook where you jot all this down, or even if you're really organized, having like a master list of all the meals that you and your family like written down so that you can reference back. I think that's super helpful. And then once I've decided what we're going to eat through that week, I have a little chalkboard in my kitchen where I write them all down. And I do this for 2 reasons. Actually 3 reasons. 1, I'm a visual person, so I like to see it written down. 2, I will quite literally forget what I planned for dinner if it's not in my face because I have mom brain. So I like to walk by it and see it multiple times a day. If it's like tucked away on my bookshelf in the notebook that I wrote it in, I'm not seeing that, and I might forget to like feed my sourdough starter if I'm making like something that's sourdough, or I might forget to, if I haven't taken all the meat out at once to defrost, I might forget to like pull the ground beef out to defrost, and then my whole dinner plan is shot. So I like to have it all written down in front of me, and then I always like star the days that require me to feed my starter or start something sourdough for the next day, because I typically have a few different things that I'll make throughout the week that involve sourdough. So that's another way visually for me to just remember like, okay, it's Wednesday, tomorrow I'm making sourdough dinner rolls, so I need to make sure that I am feeding my starter on Wednesday and also starting them the night before, because if I don't do that, I will literally forget. So dinner, that's like our main meal that I really plan for each week. Breakfast, we rotate through the same thing, so we are not fancy. We keep it super simple. So my Dutch baby recipe, we make that all the time. Oatmeal, super easy. We make an Instant Pot. It makes like the creamiest, most delicious oats. Scrambled eggs and toast. We get so many eggs from our chickens, so that's a super easy meal. Whether I have like homemade bread or it's just store-bought bread, we can have toast and eggs. Sometimes, maybe on the weekends, I'll do pancakes or, some kind of sourdough, something that's a little bit more involved when we just have more time and effort to put into it. But that's it for breakfast, and it's all things that we have on hand, like flour and eggs and oats. So I never really have to think twice about that. We pretty much always have those things stocked. And then the other thing is lunch. And this is where I do most of my prep work because like I said, breakfast is fairly easy to throw together. We've got that routine down. Dinner, I usually cook. Lunch is different. And historically, this is my struggle. And I've talked to so many other women in general or moms who also just don't really like lunch. I don't really like lunch. I don't want to stop to make it. I don't want to stop to eat it. I'm just not interested in lunch. But I also know that if I don't eat lunch, I am like ravenous and my blood sugar is super low and I can't think, my mind is fuzzy. Like it is super important to fuel your body, obviously. So I try and prep at least one thing ahead of time that's like protein rich that we can have in the fridge to just pull out and slap together a quick lunch. This week, because even that seems to be like it just seems to be like not enough to have that, and sometimes we'll eat leftovers. So this week I am taking a little bit of a different approach, and I'm actually making more like full-on meals for lunch that are going to be really filling and just like more substantial. But I obviously, like I said, I don't want to stop to cook. So I'm actually going to be making a couple dump crock pot meals, and we're going to see how that goes. If you are trying to cook more from home, whether it's prepping a lot of food in advance or cooking every night for dinner, whatever that means, the biggest tip I have for you is to have a pantry that is well stocked, and then to also be, replenishing the groceries that you need in like one shot. Because if you are constantly all over the place and you're out of something that you really need, or you didn't defrost the meat, or you have to keep running back to the store constantly to pick up more things because you didn't plan it all out in one shot in advance, you're gonna get tired real fast, and that's gonna get old real fast, and it's just not sustainable. At least I know that wouldn't be for me. So when you do some of that planning and prep in advance, but even more importantly, if you have a pantry that is well stocked, even if you didn't do the prepping and the planning, you are in a much better position to throw something together quickly that is healthy because you have lots of basics already stocked. One of my favorite ways to keep our pantry stocked with healthy, organic, like wholesome food products without spending a bajillion dollars is Thrive Market. I recently just got another Thrive order in. I'm gonna go grab the box and I will show you guys what's in my haul this time. Okay, so here is the Thrive order I just got in, and I mostly order like pantry staples, dry goods, shelf stable kind of things that I can keep in my pantry and then use to make all different kinds of recipes. So first and foremost, classic, just some all-purpose flour. I use this for different sourdough, like baked goods, things like that. On a pretty much weekly basis, I'm back into making my like sandwich bread now. And I do like to use whole wheat. I have like a grain mill, and I like to use whole wheat flour for like the nutrition benefits of it. But I still always use some all-purpose because it just helps it to be a little like lighter and fluffier and not so dense, and a little bit closer to what we buy from the store because my kids like it better that way. Okay, and then I also got a few different like vinegars and things. So I got a bottle of their organic white wine vinegar. I use this in different recipes. I use it to make mayo, homemade mayo, which I make pretty much every single week. I also got some soy sauce because we had been out, and I want to use that in one of my crock-pot dump meals this week. Also got this organic toasted sesame oil. Again, this is for to make one of the sauces I'm making for one of those crock-pot meals. Okay, I got a jar of tahini because I have personally been on kind of a hummus kick, and you can obviously buy it from the store, but I want to start making it myself because you can control the ingredients that way. But also I feel like it'd be a really easy, fun thing for my kids to help with, and then that might make them more apt to love hummus if they're involved in the process of making it. I also got some of their beans. So these are like already cooked, ready to go. They're not canned, but they're not dry beans. They're just ready to use in a recipe. I got 2 of their organic, what are those, pinto beans. And then I also got that I'm going to use in a crock pot meal. And then these are garbanzo beans, which I'm going to use to make hummus. I also got some crushed red pepper flakes because I was running low. and I love a little heat, a little spice, and to anything I can add to my meals. My kids, not so much. Neither my husband, but I do like these. And whenever I buy spices, I never buy like the glass jars anymore because you're going to pay so much more. I always buy them just in, you know, like loose form, and then I can add them to the jars and save money that way. And then the last thing that I got are some of their organic, these are their dark chocolate chips that are sweetened with cane sugar. And I'm going to use this to make a little sweet something that I'm excited to share with you guys because they're so good and they're so easy and I've been craving them. So I picked up some dark chocolate. If you've never heard of Thrive Market, they're an online membership-based grocery store and they give you guaranteed savings on every order. What they carry is mostly organic, wholesome, real foods that you're gonna find at lower prices than if you were to buy from like the organic or natural aisle at the grocery store. I personally love that you can just do all your shopping online. You can look at the ingredients without having to be like in the store with your kids hanging off the cart trying to read the ingredients on the back of something. I really love their like Thrive Market brand because, you know, if you're buying something that's not a name brand, you're always going to be spending less money, and they have some incredible options in the Thrive line. And also it comes straight to your door. Like there is no work other than just placing your order online. And there's different ways to get lower cost, like healthier food options, you know, into your home, into your pantry, but they involve, you know, pickups or going to the store. So this truly is like the most convenient. And as we all know, groceries in general, but especially higher quality, like organic options are expensive nowadays. So this is a way to get them without spending as much, or you might just not even have access, depending on where you live, to like a health food store that carries items like this. They will do price matching, they do cash back. Any order over $49 is free for shipping. And they're always adding new products, which is really fun. You can see reviews on the products if you want to maybe try something, but you want to see what other people thought first. And then there's also on the website different filters that you can use, which are really helpful. So for example, if you're celiac and you need gluten-free, or maybe you're looking for plant-based options, they also have, which is my favorite, like a buy again section, which you can see everything that you've previously ordered, which I find so helpful because again, I will like literally forget what I got. So to see everything I've ever ordered and be able to just like boop, add it to my cart again to replenish it, it's just so easy. As far as the membership goes, they have either an annual or a month-to-month option, and you're guaranteed to save on any of your orders. In fact, this order that I got, I saved, I think it was like $27. So if you want to try Thrive, you can click the link in my description box or go to thrivemarket.com/Becca Bristow. You'll get 30% off your first order plus a free gift up to $60 if you are joining today. And in addition to my 30% discount, they're actually having a sale on their bars and snacks this week. So this would be a really good time to sign up. Thrive is also one of my favorite places to get like wholesome kid snacks that are packaged. You can just hand it to them, you can bring them on the go, but they actually have like really solid ingredients. Alrighty, so if you guys want to see what I'm actually making ahead of time this week as far as meals and snacks that we can eat throughout the week, let's get started. The first thing that I'm getting going is a roast chicken. I make mine very simply. I basically just drizzle avocado oil all over it and then dump a bunch of dried seasoning. So I usually do some garlic powder, some oregano, some parsley, maybe some paprika, and then I'll add some salt and pepper too. And then I just roast it in the oven at 400 for about an hour or until it reads like 165 on my thermometer. And the reason I do a roast chicken is, one, it gives me chicken that I can use for another meal, but it also gives me tons of liquid gold bone broth. I can make that in my Instant Pot, which I'll show you guys that later. I feel like roasting a chicken feels like a lot of extra work than just like cooking up chicken breast and shredding that and using it. But I do get out of it some really nourishing bone broth, basically totally free. So for me, it's worth that like little extra step just to do once a week. And I'm able to get a lot of bone broth as well as a ton of chicken to use for something else. The next thing is making some homemade mayo, which I'm actually going to be using in a chicken salad for the week. If you do not make your own mayo, I'm telling you, it is literally the easiest thing ever, especially if you have an immersion blender. I feel like they're so worth buying to have in your kitchen. And all you need are a few simple ingredients. So just one egg, And I do a little, I don't measure, I just do a little splash of white wine vinegar. I do a little squeeze of maybe like a half of a lemon or like a quarter really of a lemon. I don't squeeze all the juice in. A little bit of Dijon mustard, a little bit of salt, and then you cover it with 1 cup of avocado oil, and then using your immersion blender, you blend it all up. Just make sure that the yolk is under the immersion blender and blend it for about 10 seconds. And then you can start incorporating the rest of the avocado oil in. That will make sure that it gets like properly emulsified. And it really is so much easier to, or so much cheaper to make it yourself if you're trying to buy a higher quality like avocado oil mayo from the store. And then all of the more generic ones are going to have highly processed oils, for example, like soybean oil in it, which is something that I try and avoid, you know, as much as I can. We're not perfect, but this is just one of the easy ways that I can remove that from, you know, what we're eating on a regular basis. So once the roast chicken was actually done, I went ahead and pulled all the chicken off of it. And then I started to make my chicken salad. I usually make a very simple chicken salad with just chopped up chicken or shredded chicken, whatever I have. And then I will dice up about half an onion. I will do some maybe like 4 to 6 stalks of celery and dice that up, and basically just throw the chicken and the onion and the celery all together. And then I'll add in my mayo and a little bit more of that Dijon mustard, some salt and pepper, and call it a day. Recently I've been loving adding like some buffalo sauce to it to make a buffalo chicken salad, but that's about as fancy as I get. I keep it really simple. And then this is a great, just easy protein option that I can keep in the fridge. So when lunchtime rolls around, it's easy to throw something together in just a couple minutes that not only is going to be like filling fuel, but it's also really tasty as well. So once my chicken was all picked apart, I had all of the bones and the carcass left over. So I was able to finally make my liquid gold bone broth. So I do it in my Instant Pot. It's incredibly easy. I just toss everything that's left over from the chicken in the Instant Pot. I cover it all with water, and then I add in a couple tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. And then here's my like #1 tip to make this absolutely free. So anytime you cut up onions or celery or carrots or garlic, save all like the odd bits and ends and the onion skins and whatever else, and just stick them in a little bag in your freezer. And then when you go to make bone broth, just dump some of that in. So this is a way to add more flavor and nutrients to your bone broth. But again, you're not using up, you know, you're not like cutting up an onion and throwing it in. You're just literally using the leftovers that for me would go to my chickens, or, you know, might just get thrown in the trash. I usually cook it in the Instant Pot for, I think like 2 hours and 40 minutes under high pressure, obviously. And then once it's all done, I just strain it and pour it into jars and store it in my fridge. Next, I wanted to make a batch of hummus to be able to eat throughout the week, to either just, you know, dip raw veggies in, or if I want to like quick throw together like some pita bread or something. So I will leave the exact recipe down below that I like to follow, but it's just chickpeas and tahini, a little bit of olive oil, some lemon juice, and then you throw in some garlic and some sea salt. I put that all into my Vitamix, and then I just add a little bit of water if needed to allow it to blend until it's like really smooth. Again, I'll leave like an exact recipe down below that I like. But this is such an easy thing to throw together, and it's really, it's a good thing for the kids to help make because it's just all goes in a blender. It's kind of foolproof. And then we can keep that in the fridge to use to snack on. Another little snacky thing I wanted to make are these date peanut butter chocolate bars. I actually made these at the end of my pregnancy when I was trying to eat a lot of dates, and they were so unbelievably good. I have been craving them, so I decided to make them. It's just like a little something sweet to have throughout the week, especially like at nighttime if I just want a little something. So it's really very easy. You just kind of have a bunch of dates and like lay them out flat on a piece of parchment paper, and then you just dump peanut butter all over them. I don't really measure, I just make sure they're like nice and coated. And then I melt a little bit of dark chocolate chips on the stove so it's all melted down. And you can add a little bit of coconut oil to the chocolate to make it like even easier to like pour and smooth. over the dates. And then again, you just pour that over and just kind of move it all around so they're all well coated, and you just pop it in your freezer. You can put a little, if you have chunky sea salt, I feel like that would be so good on top of it, but I don't have any right now. And you just freeze it until they're solid, and then you can cut them into little bars. And I just store them in the freezer and eat them frozen, and they are unbelievably decadent. Like, they are seriously, surprisingly, just for dates and chocolate and peanut butter, they are incredibly good. Next, I wanted to make some dump meals. As I said earlier, I have really been struggling with lunch, and I'm hoping that this is gonna be a good solution. So first, I'm just making some honey sesame chicken, which is basically just a sauce and chicken breasts, and I'm just gonna dump them in my crock pot in the morning when I want to have it for lunch that day. So you start with some chicken stock, or you could also use water is fine too, some soy sauce, a little bit of honey, some sesame oil, and then you can use cornstarch, or I like to use arrowroot powder. That's what I keep on hand to help thicken it up. And then also a little bit of red pepper flakes. And you basically just mix that all together. It makes a super simple but tasty sauce. I will leave a recipe that I like to follow down below with the exact measurements. But then I'm just putting that in a big freezer Ziploc with my chicken breast, with all the sauce. And then I'm just gonna stick it in my fridge because I plan to cook this within the next few days. And that way in the morning, I'll just literally pull it out and dump it in my crock pot like first thing and cook it for like 4 hours until lunchtime. And then we'll just eat it like with rice and maybe like some dressed greens that I can throw together in like 2 seconds. The second dump meal I wanted to put together is also chicken based. I wanted to make a creamy like chicken chili in my crock pot. So I'm putting majority of the ingredients again in a freezer bag, and I'm just gonna stick it in my fridge. So I'm chopping up some onion, some garlic, and I'm gonna throw that in the bag with my chicken breasts. I'm also gonna put in a can of green chilies and then all the spices. So cumin, paprika, chili powder, obviously salt and pepper. And then when it comes time to actually, oh, and beans, I forgot, some beans too. And then when it comes time to actually make the chili, I'm gonna dump all of this in the crock pot with some of the bone broth that I already had made. And then later on, when it's like almost done, I do like to add cream cheese to like thicken it up. I just prefer it to be a creamy base rather than like just a broth base. And I can link a recipe down below. I like the half-baked harvest recipe. I don't follow it exactly. I use green chilies instead of the peppers that she recommends, but I have her book and one of her books, and I love her recipes. They always turn out well. So again, this will be another great thing that I can just dump in the crock pot, and then around lunchtime, we will have something that's really tasty and easy to eat. Plus it will make leftovers for other lunches throughout the week as well. One thing I've been getting back into the swing of making weekly is sourdough sandwich bread. I have a recipe that I've been using for a while that I really like, and I'll link down below for you guys, but it does use all white flour. And I love to use fresh milled whole wheat flour because the benefits are kind of insanity compared to buying flour off the shelf that's been sitting for a long time. I do have a video where I've gone in depth on the benefits of freshly milled flour that I can link for you guys. But basically, I try and get that into my breads as whenever I can because it's just so much more nutrient dense. But the one thing is it does make your breads actually more dense. So in order to make it a little bit lighter, a little bit fluffier, a little bit tastier, and most importantly, a little bit like better accepted by my kids, I do use a little bit of all-purpose flour as well. And I've been kind of toying around with how much to use. And this time I made it, I did 350 grams of the freshly milled hard white wheat, and then I did 150 grams of all-purpose flour. And then you obviously add warm water and salt, some sugar. I use just 25 grams. I think the recipe calls for about double that. I scale back a little bit on the sugar, and then also some olive oil and some salt, and you basically just mix the dough all up the night before. Super easy. You just do one stretch and fold like 30 to 45 minutes later. So I'll make it at night, and then before I go to bed, when I'm like taking my supplements, I do a quick stretch and fold, super quick. And then the next morning, you just take the dough out, you stretch it out into a rectangle on, like your countertop. You dimple it with your fingers and then roll it up into a log and let it sit for 10 minutes or so. And then when you come back, you're just trying to shape it and build up that surface tension. And once you get like a nice looking loaf, I pop it into a loaf pan. I spray it with avocado oil first and then let it proof for an hour or two until it's like lighter and more pillowy. And then I bake it in the oven. I do at 350. I think the recipe calls for maybe 375, but my oven runs hot. So I do 350 for 35 minutes and it usually comes out pretty good every time. Okay, you guys, so that is it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Maybe you are inspired to start doing a little bit more of this prepping and planning ahead of time, or maybe you already do that and you have a new recipe that you can try out. I hope that you found value. And remember, if you want to try out Thrive Market, you can click the link in my description box or just go to thrivemarket.com/Becca Bristow and you'll get 30% off your first order plus a free gift worth up to $60. And also they are running that sale on bars and snacks right now, so you can get those at a discount in addition to my 30% off discount. If you guys have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would absolutely love for you to subscribe, join my little community here on YouTube. But that is all I have for this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.